right, so this last song, now there's no pressure, but the very early service, pretty much 100% participation. The last service, not as many people. I think it was about 100%. So you guys are the largest service, so...
Blow them out of the water.
Yeah, it's just time to blow it out of the water. That's right. So we've got some hand motions to teach you. So we're going to make our fists and pound our fists like this, yep, up and down, for building. And then we're going to make the roof of our house with the hands, with our fingertips together. Good. And then rock, we're making a fist. And on the palm, your rock. All right. And then we also have rain, so we're making rain come down with our fingers. And we have floods, and floods are coming up with our fingers. And, sand. And so sand. We're washing the sand. So everybody got to say, got it? Okay. All right. All right. Ready when you are. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the rains came a-tumbling down. The rains came down and the floods came up. I don't see all of you. Rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up. On the rock stood firm.
Hold it. This is terrible.
Yeah.
They should be embarrassed, some of them.
I know. Y'all should have seen the last two services, I'm just saying.
Some of them were doing a great job, but there were some that weren't. So I think we had some help.
Okay, have some help.
And we need to think back to, this is a new song, copyright 1948.
So new.
So I know people who grew up in the church here as children knew this song.
Yeah. Christy Denny, probably.
Christy Denny would know it.
It's not Danny anymore.
Joseph Redmond, come on up, Joseph.
Come on, Christy.
Come on, Joseph. Come on, Christy. And I think, let me look around. I want to find one more person. Watch people. Nobody will have eye contact with the preacher this morning. One more person. How about Michael Althouse, Dr. Althouse? We had a cardiologist, or whatever, works on your heart guy.
Thoracic surgeon.
I have to be careful. When do we get the snack if this is vacation?
Dr. Althouse, when you're in a surgical suite, you're in charge. But when you're here, this is my territory.
Okay. Yes, sir.
No, you'll get a snack.
After the service.
Snacks are after the
Call
service.
it lunch, though.
Paid by David, right?
I want you right here because I think you're a natural leader. And you can't do this with your hands in your pocket. Christy, you're carrying. I want everybody to understand, if you mess up, you ruin these people's worship of God.
God. We're good.
If you mess up, you ruin two sections, worship of God. And Joseph, we're just planning on you messing up.
We're talking eternity. Okay. Eternity, right?
Yeah, eternities.
Yeah. Eternal. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the rains came a-tumbling down.
There you go.
The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up, and the house on the rock stood firm. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The foolish man built his house upon the sand, and the rains on the came down. So I'm ahead of myself. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up, and the house on the sand went splat.
splat.